Charles Manson was one of the most notorious cult leaders of the 1960s, but he refused to take responsibility for the killings his followers carried out for decades. What did he tell a documentary film producer shortly before his death? Throughout his nearly 50 years behind bars, Charles Manson never showed any remorse or even admitted any guilt for his infamous crimes.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better.
The murders of at least 9 people in the summer of 1969, including the pregnant actor Sharon Tate, continue to haunt and fascinate the world. Manson's final words to a documentary producer, James Buddy Day, who interviewed him at length during the killer's last year live, showed no contrition and were instead boastful.
I'm the most famous human being, not only that is alive, but the most famous human being that ever lived.
The killer's conversations with Day, included in the documentary Charles Manson: The Final Words, were his last recorded before he died in November 2017. The project started with a phone call. James Buddy Day was surprised to get a ring from Charles Manson himself. Day had written to Manson asking him for an interview, but had little faith that the killer would actually call him. Yet, here was Manson on the other side of the line. In his book, Hippie Cult Leader: The Last Words of Charles Manson, Day wrote, "What do you say to the most infamous mass murderer of all time if given the chance? I knew what I wanted. To hear Manson's story in his own words and to get his permission to make a documentary based on that story." Manson was held responsible for the infamous murders of Sharon Tate and 4 others at her home on August 8th and 9th, 1969, which were carried out on his orders. In addition, he was convicted in the killings of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca in the early hours of August 10th. A jury also convicted him of 2 other murders. In his interview with Day, Manson denied responsibility, saying, "I didn't have nothing to do with killing those people. They knew I didn't have anything to do with it. They didn't want to hear it. I didn't get a defense. I didn't get to put on a trial." Charles Manson downplayed his role as the leader of the so-called Manson family, a group of runaways and dropouts who lived communally at a former movie set called the Spahn Ranch. Police and prosecutors believe Manson ordered the murders to instigate a race war, but in Manson's telling, it was the others at the ranch who acted on their own.
I never told anybody to do anything other than what they wanted to do.
As Day delved deeper into the story, he determined that the commune wasn't as hierarchical and the story wasn't as clear-cut as it had been previously presented. Day told Time magazine, "There's so many people involved in the Manson story, and not one of them can really say what happened. No one was making decisions for the whole group." While Day believes Manson's version of events is likely closer to the truth than the police and prosecutors' interpretation, he admits Manson was still responsible for the killings. Day went on, "I think there's no question Manson is culpable for those murders, if not all of them. The murders would not have happened without him." Manson's claim of innocence provides a jarring contrast to his bragging about fame, a statement that smacks of pride and may offer a truer glimpse into what made him tick.
He never heard you express remorse. Have you never felt it?
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me.
Not long after Charles Manson's final phone calls to James Buddy Day, the killer died at Bakersfield, California Hospital at 8:13 p.m. on November 19, 2017 due to complications from colon cancer. While Manson's interview with Day may have been his last, a decade earlier he had made a similar boast about his fame to another researcher. He told criminologist Jack Levin in 2007, "I am the most famous person who ever lived." Levin agreed with him to a point. He told Northeastern Global News, "That's only a slight exaggeration. There are many great people who preceded Manson and were world-renowned, but didn't have the benefit of the mass media like Manson did." Levin believes there will never be another Manson. He went on to say, "He fit into the anti-establishment environment that prevailed during the 60s and 70s, and those days are gone. We could get another killer that influences young people, but it wouldn't look anything like Manson."